Every year, institutions spend millions to adopt frameworks like ISO, COBIT, and NIST. The goal is straightforward: secure compliance, earn a certification, and protect the organization's reputation. Yet, despite thousands of pages of documentation and constant renewals, these same institutions still face sudden operational breakdowns, massive internal friction, and months of panic before every audit. These top-down frameworks are perfectly constructed for paper, but they shatter when exposed to the high-friction reality of actual administration. The root cause of this failure is built into their DNA. It is called the enterprise fallacy, the starting assumption that an organization naturally possesses baseline cooperation, flawless internal systems, and unlimited budgets. In reality, those conditions almost never exist. The moment a department stops cooperating or a critical budget dries up, legacy systems stall. The auditors declare a scope limitation, and the framework stops functioning entirely. Because these legacy tools require a perfect, frictionless environment to operate, they offer almost no practical value in the chaotic, messy environments of real-world public service and enterprise operations. The Recursive Administrative Audit Framework, or RAAF, represents a clean break from all legacy standards. It was forged from the bottom up, inside the very failure points and broken channels where other systems break. It operates on a single governing axiom: administrative entropy. Like gravity, administrative decay is a physical law. All systems will naturally lose information, obscure facts, and grind to a halt unless they are actively and constantly maintained. Instead of expecting a clear path, RAAF is built to expect blockages. While linear models collapse under pressure, a recursive loop absorbs that friction and continues to function. RAAF assumes resistance is the default state. It does not wait for uncooperative actors to suddenly comply, and it does not die when ignored. Instead, the architecture is engineered to capture that exact resistance and feed it back into the system as its primary source of data. By accepting administrative entropy as an unavoidable law of physics, an institution can deploy a system that actually grows stronger and produces a tighter record, the more evasion it encounters. Legacy audit systems operate on a rigid sequence: find the fault, measure the blame, and punish the actor. This creates a predictable psychological reflex. When the primary goal is finding someone to blame, staff naturally hide mistakes, delete records, or stonewall inquiries. The methodology of the audit creates the exact cover-ups it is trying to uncover. RAAF neutralizes this by resting on 4 immutable pillars: organize, not control; protect, not accuse; stabilize, not disrupt; preserve, not penalize. This is a read-only technical diagnostic. It maps the terrain without touching the data or targeting the personnel. When fear drops to zero, staff routinely bring operational errors forward early, while they are still tiny and cheap to correct. For those who refuse to engage, RAAF applies the friction as evidence doctrine, converting silence into proof. While traditional frameworks treat ignored deadlines as dead ends, RAAF strictly reclassifies them. A bounced channel becomes a formal breach. Silence is logged as procedural default. Redefining evasion as actionable proof destroys the institutional habit of passing the buck. Ignoring the system no longer makes the problem go away. It automatically strengthens the legal record against the person attempting to delay it. Traditional compliance relies heavily on subjective concepts like professional judgment and reasonable assurance. This subjectivity is a massive liability. 2 different human auditors can review the exact same department files and arrive at 2 completely opposite legal or financial conclusions. RAAF eliminates human opinion from the compliance verdict through cryptographic determinism. The structure runs on a solitary operating chain of 3 components. First, cryptographic hashes lock the timeline so records cannot be backdated. Second, treaty-level file standards guarantee authentic artifacts readable by any court. Third, procedures bind directly to domestic statutory laws. The outcome of this chain is binary. If the hash is valid, the file format is exact, and the timeline is met, compliance is a 1. Anything else is a 0. Math makes the decision. By shifting the verdict from a subjective human opinion to an absolute mathematical certainty, an institution caps its liability and permanently shields itself from biased or politicized audit findings. Elections, reshuffles, and retirements routinely devastate public service operations. In legacy structures, Operational knowledge lives almost entirely in the heads of the staff. When a key official transfers or a new administration takes over, up to 80% of the organization's institutional memory vanishes overnight. RAAF solves this through the Sovereign Protocol Manual. This acts as the organization's constitution, operating system, and audit seed, all mathematically embedded directly into a continuous hash chain. Every procedural step and operational fact is secured within this mathematical sequence, decoupling the knowledge from the physical personnel. Under RAAF, an office can experience 100% staff turnover. The new administration simply plugs into the existing chain, and the system resumes perfectly intact. Transferring institutional memory into mathematically sealed chains ensures that operatives are treated as finite projects. They have a clear start date, a defined execution phase, and a final sign-off. The direct consequence of this linear design is that the moment the project concludes and the consultants leave, the institutional problems begin returning immediately. RAAF replaces finite projects with a 6-stage perpetual loop. The first half isolates administrative breakpoints and executes interventions onto the sealed record. The second half establishes maintenance and recursively verifies system health. Because Entropy never sleeps, the governance cycle never finishes. While legacy systems depend on millions of dollars in continuous billable renewal fees, RAAF's core architecture relies entirely on universally free, open-source mathematical standards. Deploying a never-closing governance loop guarantees that once an operational fix is achieved, it is permanently locked in, completely detaching the organization's structural health from expensive consultant renewals. The data gathered by this continuous loop allows an institution to quantify bad administration with the same objectivity as measuring room temperature. This is the Friction Quantification Index, or FQI, a strict metric from 0 to 100, giving leadership an undeniable, trendable look at departmental friction. Utilizing the FQI strips emotion from budget requests, presenting precise, math-based facts to justify funding. This completely redefines regulatory oversight. An institution running RAAF is audit-ready by design. It eliminates the routine months of panic and overtime required to prepare for regulators. Every action taken inside the system is instantly sealed as a final, verifiable artifact. Instead of claiming compliance on paper, the system generates mathematical proof these protections function in reality. This provides a continuous live stream of operational integrity that supersedes baseline standards. RAAF functions as a distinct category of administrative science, separating itself from legacy updates or checklists. It is built from first principles that oppose the assumptions of traditional standards. For public officials and staff, this results in true administrative immunity. Because procedures are mathematically proven to be followed exactly as published on the record, personal liability is virtually eliminated. For the institution, it acts as an early warning system. Fearless reporting surfaces operational anomalies when they are minor 1,000-peso discrepancies, neutralizing them long before they compound into massive scandals. Legacy standards sell complexity, checklists, and a brand name, designed for a perfect world that does not exist. RAAF is built for how systems actually behave, breaking, stalling, deflecting, and forgetting. It turns failure points into structured data, subjective opinion into unalterable math, and passing knowledge into permanent memory. Adopting RAAF moves an organization beyond the compliance project. It installs permanent institutional immunity.